I am your host, Reverend Patrina White McClure. I'm really super excited about today's show, and I'm sure you will be too. But before we get into introducing our very special guest, I want to remind you that WCEG TV Network or Network TV is a 501c3 nonprofit community radio station. And as we are in the season of elimination of communication sources, we do ask that you will find WCEG Network a worthy place to sow a seed to keep information going out to the global community. So please give us a call at 404 490 8646 or go to our website at www.wcegtalkradio.com and we'll get you started in that process. And at this point, I would love to introduce to you to our very, 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 very special guest, Miss Venus Gervin. Thank you, Venus, for being a part of our show. I'm so excited about what God is doing in and through you, which you're
Thank
about
you.
to share
Thank
with
you.
our church biz audience. Can you tell everybody about who you are?
Well, my name is Venus Gervin, and thank you for having me on this morning.
Thank
I've
you.
grown up in your family, in your church family, and we've known each other forever, it seems like.
Yes.
Um, I am born and raised in the Atlanta, Georgia area, Benjamin Mays High School graduate. And I've since become a registered architect here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And so now I'm, starting to work on my own projects.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, you're a part of a unique group of people. There are
Mhm.
0.2 licensed African American women in the United States.
Yes.
So, what did that journey look like for you to get there? How did you even discover that this was something you wanted to do?
Well, when I was in undergraduate school, my undergraduate major was industrial engineering at Northwestern University. And that, dealt with space planning for manufacturing facilities. And I knew I wanted a graduate degree, but I didn't necessarily want another engineering degree. And so, but I really loved the space planning aspect of what I was doing. And so I was looking for careers that allowed me to go further with the space planning aspect of it. And that's what eventually led me to architecture. And I was, looking to come home anyway. And Georgia Tech has a really good architecture program. So I applied to that and they accepted me. But yes, you're correct. There aren't too many African American female architects in the country. I think we've there was a big push to get at least 500, and we've crossed that threshold a few years ago. So we're trending upward, but it's still a long road.
So, how would we introduce the younger generation
Mhm.
uh, to get into this career field? Like they say, people become more inspired to
Mhm.
become when they see representation. So,
Right. Right.
what are you doing to reach out to the young people?
Oh, yeah, we often have high school programs. I think at the high school level is when people get a little bit more serious about, whether they want to do architecture or not. So we try to get kids at the middle school and high school level to, start introducing them to the career field, and, just kind of telling them what programs are accredited, and that will lead to a professional architecture license. So some organizations that I'm a part of is NOMA, the National Organization of Minority Architects, and they have pipeline summer camp programs. And so those are the programs that I would recommend for someone to look into who's who has a child who may be interested in this field.
Awesome,
Mhm.
awesome. Now, and I'm glad you went to Georgia Tech because I recently had a chance to go to uh, one of their science fairs,
Mhm.
and I was totally taken aback. I've been missing this hidden gem in
Mhm.
the Atlanta area. We hear of it, but to see what they're actually doing out there, and they do have those science fairs for people to take their children. And I thought it was really amazing to see the amount of African Americans that were there introducing
Yeah.
their children to a community that they normally wouldn't even be introduced to, if you
Right, right.
will. And some of them even live across the street,
Mhm.
basically, from the
Mhm.
school. So
Right.
I was really, really grateful to be there. And I hate I didn't even take my kids when they were younger. I'm like, wow, their lives
Mhm.
could have been so much more different, but it's all
Mhm.
good. It's all
Oh,
good.
yeah.
We can get the news out now. And I thank you for helping shine a light on these communities that we
Mhm.
don't really give attention to.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And
yeah.
I would say, people think, "Oh, I don't know how to draw. I can't be an architect." The programs will teach you everything you need. I'm not a natural artist by any stretch of the imagination, and I wouldn't put my drawing skills up against anybody's. But as long as, you need to have vision, more so
Okay.
than drawing skills.
Mm,
So don't let that, dissuade you from a profession like that.
okay. I like that. You have to have vision.
Right.
Ex- can you go into detail about that? Because that could look like
Mhm.
anything to
Yeah,
anybody.
well, I would say, y you know, you need to in this business, you need to be able to look at something in a state of complete disrepair and visualize what it can be, after, some TLC, renovation efforts, cleaning up. You need to be able to kind of look at a blank piece of land and visualize what you can do with it for future use. So if you have the ability to just dream and imagine and visualize what this piece of property can do, that will make you a better architect than saying you have good drawing abilities.
That is interesting because I
Mhm.
would have always thought, as I did up until
Mhm.
I got to meet you,
Mhm.
that you had to know how to draw,
Right.
because that's all we see on TV drawings.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm like, well, I couldn't be one because
Right.
I don't know how to draw.
Right. Right.
And but you mentioned two key words. You have to be a dreamer.
Mhm.
One has the ability to use their imagination to
Right.
see. And the imagination, in fact, this week I was just praying, asking God to help me to stop abusing the gift of imagination,
Right.
because that is our creative
Yep.
mind piece,
Yep.
where we can see something that was not yet there.
Right.
But if we fill it too much with watching everybody else's imagination, like
Right.
on TV, or going to support everybody else and not invest in ourselves, we
Right.
will have discredited the own value or the own giftings that we have. And
Exactly.
so in other words, we just totally disavow our imagination and we fill it with stupid stuff. So you proceed on, and now you say that you're working
Mhm.
on your own dream. Now, before you got there, how long were you doing architecture before the dream even begin to manifest?
Mhm. So I've been an architect for 20 years now, and it's hard to imagine it's been that long, but that's how long I've been, in this business. That's when I graduated from Georgia Tech 20 years ago. I've been working in this
Wow.
business ever since. So yeah, 20 years of working on other people's projects, helping them realize their dream and bringing their dreams into fruition. So yeah.
So when did you know it was time to go and manifest your own dream?
Mhm.
Because most of us spend our lives helping everybody else's
Exactly.
dreams along, but we don't take any of that energy. We count it as being selfish
Right.
to
Right.
invest in our own dreams.
Right.
So at which point did this begin to gnaw at your inner core and
Mhm.
say, look, you can't just go out and not handle this thing?
Exactly. I would say right around the time, and I'm telling my age, right around the time when I turned about 45, I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to keep, working like this, because it's a grueling profession. I'm like, I can't keep up this pace. I don't want to keep, working like this. I still have another, 25 years left until retirement. And so just trying to map out, what the later stages of my life would be like. And I'm like, I don't want to keep working at this pace. How can I start charting my own course and, setting kind of my own destiny in my own hands and not just working, a 9 to 5 job for someone else, which in architecture, 9 to 5 is really like 9 to 9. so, so just taking a little bit more control. There's this book that I was reading, and it basically says, you're responsible for your own happiness, your own journey, and you basically need to take control of what your course, what you want your course in life to be. And so I started just looking around for more. I guess, and I've always wanted to be my own developer. And so, those kind of gnawing, dreams have, just kind of came back up to the surface. And I knew it was God talking. And so I just kind of followed that path. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just kind of see where this takes me. And one day I was working on a hotel project, and I was in a studio called the Hospitality Studio, where they take old kind of historic buildings. I was working on an old historic building and converting that into a hotel. And I came across this hospitality magazine, and I saw this African American woman on the cover of it. I was like, hey, let me check out this lady and see who this is. And that's how I met Mrs. Tracy Prigmore, who's over the program that I was in. And we can get into that a little bit later.
Awesome. And
Mhm.
I love uh seeing properties that are refurbed, if you
Mhm.
will, or and I think that is so that takes a lot of talent and
Right.
gifting.
Mhm.
So I can relate to that because I'll see old properties. I
Yeah,
just saw one last week. I'm like, boy, this would be so fabulous if, but I'm
exactly.
not the architect person.
Well, that's how it starts.
Okay. And so I'm so excited for you, but I
Mhm.
do want to go ahead and get into
Yeah.
what you are doing
Yeah.
now because this is so phenomenal to me that
Yeah.
you are the founder um, of Emerald Hospitality Group LLC, and our show is titled Invest in Transformation.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what does that mean to you?
I am the founder of Emerald Hospitality Group, and our tagline is transforming hidden gems. And just like the example that you gave, as I drive through my neighborhood, I see all of these buildings that can be and should be revitalized, and the economic impact that it would bring to my neighborhood, and just the jobs that would be created, the kingdom building that can be established by that. And so as I drive through my neighborhood and I see all of these buildings that, they just need investment, they just need someone to come in with a vision of what, this community needs, and who can establish an action plan and find the financing to make it happen. And I felt like I was in a good position to start doing that. And so that's why I founded Emerald Hospitality Group. And my first project will be a hospitality project. Just by nature of the program that I was in, called She Has a Deal. and it's an educational platform to get more women to become hotel owners.
Okay, so now is this a part of that magazine you happen to look at?
Yes, yes. The woman who was on the cover is the founder of that program. So that's the program that I went through.
All right. So now, how long did it take you to get engaged in the process? Like, I'm sure there was some type of preparatory training you
Mm-hmm.
had to go through
Mm-hmm.
in order for you to enter the program, or they had to groom you to your vision, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did that look like?
So there are two different tracks to the program. There's a track for what's called early careerists, and those are for young women who are still in college or just recently graduated from college, who would like to become a hotel owner. And then there's a tract called Today's Woman for more established ladies, people who already have their career established and they've want to get into the hotel ownership space. And so I was in the Today's Woman track. And that preparation, it was about the program is about 9 months of education. And you go through the all of the steps of um, learning how to identify properties, learning how to underwrite deals, a lot of financial guidance, learning how to read industry reports, and just learning how to get into this industry and really evaluate the potential for what a hotel deal could be.
Now, are there like age caps to the program?
No, there are no age caps. Just where you are in your journey is the most important thing, not necessarily age.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful. Because we don't know who wants to do what. We could be speaking right now to
yeah,
a woman who's older,
yeah,
and she knows that she has potential in
yeah.
her, but doesn't know where to invest it.
Exactly, exactly.
And and I love your tagline about the hidden gems. Is you say revealing hidden gems?
Transforming hidden gems.
Transforming
Yes,
hidden gems. So
yeah,
the gems that are on the inside of the people.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, besides the properties.
Big besides the
Because
properties, exactly.
yeah, because it's an investment in property, but you first have to invest in the people in order to
Right,
get them to invest in the property to
exactly,
even be positioned to want to do such a thing. And
exactly.
so I'm so excited because I already love going to hotels anyway, because they all are different,
Right.
they offer different amenities and all of this good stuff.
Mhm.
So tell us about the property you're working on, if as much as you can reveal at this time.
Oh, sure, sure. So the property that I'm currently working on, and this is what the program that I just spoke of, it culminates into a pitch competition that's in April, and they just had the next one this week actually. And so the program culminates into a pitch competition, and the winners of that pitch competition can win equity into their deal. And so the deal that I found was a property located in Stockbridge, Georgia. It's located right next to the Eagles Landing Country Club and Golf Course. And the property is currently an assisted living facility, but the owners are closing down and going out of business in Georgia. And so I felt like I could take that property and convert it into a luxury boutique hotel with the golf course and country club as a primary demand generator. And so that's turning out to be really fruitful for this neighborhood. They've been looking for something like this. They've been looking for some upper upscale amenities in the area. And so, I've really kind of found a niche market where I could really fill a void for this area.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how many women, first of all, and Black / African
Mhm.
American women do
Mhm.
we know
Mhm.
own hotels?
It's less than 1%. of African American women own hotels, and less than about 10% globally of hotels are owned by women, and then less than 1% are owned by Black women. So it's a very small group, and just the representation, it does matter. And there are programs out there that can help you and assist you if you're not interested in this the program that I went through. There are others out there. So if you're looking for help, it's out there. You don't have to go through something like this alone.
And that was a powerful statement right there. You don't have to go through this alone.
Mm-hmm.
And too often, I believe that most people rarely accomplish their dreams because they think that they have to do it all. They have to do it by themselves. And so that limits their view or the idea that there is help out there, but it's there. They just have to be open to God making the connections with them and doing the research as well. Amen. All right. It looks like we're Venus.
Yes, I'm back. Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, I was just saying how it looks like, most of us very rarely achieve our dreams because we think that we have to do it alone,
Right.
and then there's a side of us, we don't want to say so and so help me. I want to be able to say I did it by myself, but there are some things you can't do by yourself. You need help. God didn't make us islands unto ourselves. In other words,
Right.
we're a part of a larger community called the global community.
Right.
So that means we're here for each other. It's just a matter of waiting and praying and researching and finding the answers that we need. And you got blessed when you saw a magazine cover.
Exactly. And just followed up on it. I had no idea that she had this program when I looked her up. I was just doing my research on her and saying I was just going to reach out and introduce myself to her. I had no idea that she started this program.
So
trying to get more women as hotel owners. And so that's when I found this program. Yeah.
amazing. So out of curiosity, let's say this is piquing their interest. What kind of startup cash do they have to have?
So I would say, for the program or
let's say they go through the program, but they're at the point of getting property. They see a property they're willing to invest in.
Oh, yes. So I would say, well, it depends. And every deal is different. I would say it depends on your the acquisition cost of your property, and if you're going to do a new construction property or a renovation. I did not have a lot of money starting, a lot of disposable cash starting, so I knew that I had to do a renovation of an existing building because new construction is a lot more expensive now. And so already, that kind of set out the type of project that I was going to have to look for. So definitely I knew I was going to have to do a renovation. And then I knew I wanted to
All right. We're having a little technical difficulty here. We're hoping that Venus will be able to get back on with us shortly. But everybody look up Shad, SHAD, or She Has a Deal. If you're interested in going into the hospitality career field, look up all of that information. You can Google it. Like Venus said, they just had a conference this week. And where was that conference, Venus?
The conference was located in Tyson's Corner, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat here.
All right. So everybody, SHAD, She Has a Deal, in case you're interested in this. But you have to start where you are, is basically what Venus was saying. She knew she had to go into a renovation project. There's nothing wrong with that, folks.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Every hotel owner had to start somewhere. The Bible tells us, despise not humble beginnings. Nobody starts off, well, excuse me, very few of us can
Right.
start off grandstanding.
Right.
There are some out there, but the majority of us, we have to start off at ground zero, which helps us to build a sustaining vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so can you talk about how you're sustaining the vision? How are you keeping it afloat?
Well, I'm keeping it afloat by my wonderful friends and family, um, such as yourself. My, just my network of supporters, people that know my work ethic, people that have watched me grow up and excel in this industry. So they're definitely sustaining me. I'm just putting one foot in front of the other. When I started out, I just said I'm just going to go until I get turned around, and I haven't been turned around yet.
Amen.
I keep
Amen.
getting further and further. I had no idea I would make it, this far in this journey. But I just, made a commitment that I'm going to just keep going as far as I can go with it, until, God says, this is far enough. But so far, that hasn't happened yet. Every need that I have, it's just being met.
Praise the Lord.
I don't know where it's coming from. It shows up when it's needed. And so I'm just putting my faith in this process and keep moving forward.
And that's what the Bible says in the book of James.
Mhm.
Faith without works is
Yep.
dead. So
Yep.
you can't be a hotel owner or a visionary or a mover and shaker
Mhm.
if you're sitting at the house doing nothing,
Right. Right.
you know. And the Bible talks about that in Proverbs about how a lazy person shouldn't expect anything.
Right.
And so here you are, you're just getting your hustle on, your flow going, and you're trusting God in the process.
Exactly.
And that's critical as well. You got to go through the process.
Right. Right.
And so part of the process is being humble.
Hmm.
So, what were some of the things that humbled you along this way?
Some of the things that humbled me, I, I think learning how accessible this really was,
Mm,
and me
mm,
not realizing that for such a long time, and knowing that other people may not recognize how accessible their dreams are either.
mm,
So that was
mm.
humbling to me, because this is a very, very big. This is about one of the largest dreams I've ever had, and just each step of the process, um, coming into it, and just having the confidence that I could do this step. I could climb over this particular hurdle, and every hurdle that's been put in front of me, um, I was able to create a plan to get over it, and and it didn't feel insurmountable, and so that was humbling, maybe in a different way. And I feel like you know I would have hated to not move forward based on my initial assumptions
Mm.
of how big this dream was, knowing how accessible each little step was. They say you eat an elephant one bite at a time, and so that's what I've been trying to do on this one.
That is beautiful. And you are a humble person. And that's what's already,
Right.
but God has a way of saying, hey, I need you to take it down even further.
Right.
You
Yep.
know, you got to learn how to rely on me all the
Mhm.
more. And it's such a critical time that we're in now that this is so needed
Mhm.
because I really see that your dream is not just for the hotel, but
Mhm.
there's a larger purpose behind it that's
Mhm.
yet to be revealed.
Mhm.
And at the set time, God is going to show you what that
Mhm.
is. So
Right.
that's what makes me all the more excited, not only to go stay in the hotel or do what
Right.
I can, to help with the vision.
Right.
But I'm really super excited about what is after
Right.
that. Or
Yes.
even have you already seen that piece?
Um, I've seen some glimpses of it. So after, after this, after the going through this program, you're now part of the alumni network. And so the ladies who make up the alumni collective, we're forming groups to continue going after hotel deals. And so, I think that's what's next, helping the other ladies in the group realize their dreams and bring more hotels into the forefront.
Now, at what point are you going to bridge over, not necessarily through She Has a Deal, but
Mhm,
on your own ventures to
mhm,
include men
mhm.
and give them opportunities who would not normally have it?
Oh yes, I think, well, and men are always welcome also, and our investor base consists of everyone. The hotel ownership will be a woman-led project, but the investor base, we need men just as much as women to make up our group of investors. So men aren't excluded from anything. We definitely want men and women to invest in our deals. um, but in terms of the just creating jobs in the hospitality space, I want to have a project where the employees also want to be hotel owners, and so that's definitely where men will come into the fold there as well.
Beautiful,
Mhm.
beautiful. Now, can you give us your website in case anybody is interested in
Yep.
becoming male or female an investor
Yes.
in your Emerald Hospitality Group?
Yes. So the website for Emerald Hospitality Group is, and I'll put it in the chat. It's transforminghiddengems.com.
Awesome.
And
Trans
then yes, transforminghiddengems.com. And then if you would like to invest in the deal, the website for the investment portal is called investwithshad.com. That's invest with, WITH, shad, SHAD, for She Has a Deal, investwithshad.com.
Beautiful, beautiful, because right now, like we used to hear old school used to say, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right, right.
Well, since January 22nd, we've
Mhm,
been learning
mhm.
that we cannot rely on one source of income.
Exactly.
If you've been doing it and you trusted you would have your job forever and ever,
Right.
amen. All of that has been busted up, and then there's that traditional song that
Mhm.
says, time is filled with swift transitions, not on earth unmoved can stand.
Mhm.
Build your hope on
Right,
things
right.
eternal, hold on to God's unchanging hand. And that's the song that
Mhm,
continues to play in my spirit. So what say you
mhm,
about this present climate of probably even some of your
mhm.
investors being impacted, okay,
Yes.
economically because of what's going on politically, not only in our nation, but it reaches into the global community.
Oh, yes, and you can see I would say, as volatile as the stock market is being, I've been telling people to have another look at real estate, to generate passive income, and real estate isn't going anywhere. It's a finite resource. You know, you either own some land or you don't. And no more land is being created. So I view it as a safer investment during times
Mm,
such as these. So I'm using the volatility of the stock market as a selling point for my real estate deal, and trying to give investors a little bit more comfort in this passive income opportunity. And I think, people just can't, keep working at the pace in which they're working for their entire lives. You need to really kind of expand your portfolio with some passive income. And this, looking at, real estate deals will help you do that. And I hope you'll consider mine.
Exactly. Everybody, don't forget to go to www.transforminghiddengems.com.
Exactly.
And I just glanced at your website a little while ago, and
Mhm.
it's already beautiful. But you're an architecture of several of our communities'
Yeah.
websites, like
Yes.
you did mine,
Hmm.
and that's one thing I love about you. You just don't stay in one space. You teach us
Hmm.
how to expand our own brand.
Hmm.
Now it's up on us to
Yeah.
get busy with it.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I think about stuff you told me 10 years ago, and I'm like, Lord, I still haven't done that. And Venus already told me to do this. Why am I
Exactly.
slow about this?
I know. I know.
You know, and so I mean, I could have been way out further
Mhm.
probably had I done some of the things that you've told,
Oh yeah.
but you tell that to everybody. You freely give what you have on the inside, but that's commensurate with those in your family.
Right.
All give, you all
Right. Right.
invest in everybody.
Yeah.
You just don't, hey, we got ours, that's it. No, you look for people to
Yeah.
invest in. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about your family philosophy, which is helping you with your dream? And as well, how much is it to invest in a hotel? Will they find that on your website, or can you tell us
Oh
what's the
yeah.
minimum amount we can invest in your hotel today?
Oh yes, I can tell you. But yes, my family, I've always been a behind the scenes person, helping everybody else, with their dreams and missions, and so this deal is forcing me into the forefront and to get out of my comfort zone, and to get in the spotlight a little bit more. And so yes, but my family has always been there to support me and to push me, and I get that drive from my aunts, my aunt Penny, my aunt Natalie. My certainly my grandmother was the matriarch of it all, and it was and I've grown up seeing all of my aunts and my uncles just helping everybody around them. We've always been very blessed, with you know generosity, and just kind of everybody kind of. Um, I saw all of their friends, looking up to them, and I certainly looked up to them growing up. And so, that's just always been a part of, how we treat people and how we behave toward others. And for the investment deal, there are two different ways that you can invest. For those who would meet the criteria of what's called an accredited investor. And an accredited investor is someone who has a net worth of either you have a net worth of $1 million, excluding your home, or you have an annual salary of $200,000 or more. For the past 2 years, the SEC considers you an accredited investor. And so the minimum for that fund is called a Regulation D 506C. The minimum investment in that fund is $25,000. And so for everyone who does not meet that accreditation status, you would be called an unaccredited investor. And so for unaccredited investors, we also have Regulation CF, which stands for crowdfunding, and the minimum investment for that fund is $2,500. So it's as far as real estate investments goes, it's a very attainable, minimum. We want to really attract first time real estate investors to this deal. People who are interested in learning the process. We're been very transparent. If you're interested in this process also, I'd encourage you to come check us out. And I guess I should say, full disclaimer, the investment is offered through Shad Momentum LLC. And so that's where the investment portal lies. So you'll see that when you go to the investwithshad.com website.
Okay. And so all we have to do is, invest in the vision
Mm-hmm.
by not going to buy hair and nails and more clothes
You're right.
in order to attain a sustainable source of income. I mean, and it takes money to make money.
Right. Right.
So the $2,500 really isn't going to be too hard. Are there any particular deadlines attached to the investments?
We'll keep raising until we're able to close on the property. So, but we want to do that as soon as possible. So, if you can, if you are considering investing, please consider investing by the end of this month.
Awesome, awesome.
And I
So
have a
everybody,
visual. If I can show a visual, if I can
oh
share my
yes,
screen.
that'd be perfect
Yeah.
because this is a tutorial basically to many of our listeners who
Hmm.
never saw themselves as being investors. They're always purchasers or they're the borrowers when the Bible actually has called us to be the lenders. You know,
Yeah.
if we could get with that
Ah,
principle.
oh,
But I love how you said you were humbled by realizing how accessible your dreams are. And I think if everybody can see how accessible their dreams are, leaving a mark in the earth before they leave, they could potentially become a part of the investment of the Emerald Hospitality Group.
yep. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
This is really, really amazing. And
Can you see my screen?
yes, yes, boutique hotel. Now, there are different types. What? Boutique hotel, luxury hotels.
Yes. So
What
a
are all of
boutique
those?
hotel is typically a smaller hotel. A lot of people don't like to stay at the big chain hotels. These hotels are smaller in nature. They're a little bit more immersive. They give you more of the vibe of where they're located. So they really try to. These are hotels that really try to entrench themselves in the local culture of where they're located. And so this will be located in Stockbridge, Georgia. And so we really want to give you a taste of what Stockbridge really has to offer. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, so here's the property here, and you can see it's located right next to the Eagles Landing Country Club and Golf Course facility. It's a 3-story property with 60 rooms, and it's in a very kind of pristine kind of landscape space. It's kind of set really far back from the street, so it really gives you this resort vibe. And you can see that we're in walking distance to the Eagles Landing Country Club. And so this is a better picture here, so you can see how close the two facilities are. And so the country club has 8 tennis courts and pickleball courts. They have like 2 swimming pools, 3 golf courses. And so we're going to partner, with that facility and to be able to give you a resort pass, so that you can kind of, experience the amenities of both establishments.
Beautiful.
Yep. And so go just the market is a really growing market. Henry County, Georgia is actually a transfer hub. It connects the Port of Savannah, which is one of the largest ports in the country, to the Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson Airport, which is the largest airport in the country. So it's always been a very um, fast growing county with a lot of pent up hotel demand. And what I've noticed was that all of the hotels in the area are kind of clustered along the highway and targeting economy travelers and business travelers. And there was really nothing in the upper upscale space. And so that's what we want to capture with this property. There are a lot of celebrity golf tournaments next door, and we want to get that business. And then there are also, the Stockbridge Amphitheater just opened. And so we'd like to kind of offer some excursion packages to some of the amenities that are down in Henry County. So we can skip through this. So here's just a little bit of our branding. You know, we want to be a modern Georgian estate. We want to be gracious, social, and immersive. And so these are just some visuals of where we'd like to position this property. So the country club next door is a members only facility. And so we want to be the kind of social gathering space where you do not need a membership to join. So we're calling this a charming world in which to belong. And so here are just some visuals of what we like to do here. The name that we've settled on is called the Peridot Hotel, and it's a green gem signifying renewal and good times ahead. So come check us out.
Congratulations. This is
Visual.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, how did you happen upon this property? Did Shad help you identify it, or you just happened to know about what was going on in the community, being that you're in the architect industry?
Mhm. Yeah, so you know, as you're going through this program, it's every woman has to find their own deal. So this is a deal that I found looking through various. There are these you know, sites like LoopNet, Craigsy, just different sites that have the Georgia commercial MLS listings for real estate properties. And you know, I just kept coming back to this property for some reason. I kind of moved on from it and went to some other. I was evaluating some other deals at first, but something just kept drawing me back to this one, and I really kind of, you know, I had to go back to that vision again and really kind of imagine what it could be. And you know, it's right next to a golf course, and I used to be a sports architect as well, so the sports angle is what kept drawing me back to this particular property. So I think, you know, just relying on my background and just, you know, imagination and, you know, visualization and dreaming about what I feel like I could do with this property is what ultimately kept drawing me back here. And I'm glad it did.
Well, I'm glad for you. This is just mind blowing, but it releases an energy to within me. I'm gonna say within me to pursue more of what I want to do. You know, it helps me to see that even at my age,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that what I want to do is possible. Even
Yeah.
though I believe the scripture with Christ,
Mm-hmm.
all things are possible,
Right.
but it motivates me to want to do more
Mm-hmm.
than what I've been doing. So I want to thank you for explaining on the ways we can become investors in the property, in addition to if I want to pursue what is in my heart to do, which turns out to be in some of my family members' hearts to do, which is to create affordable housing.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So this is inspirational indeed. So what are some tidbits you would have for our listeners who want to pursue things in their lives? What would you tell somebody if they have a dream?
Mm-hmm.
How they, where should they start with making it happen?
I think finding a mentor, if you can reach out to someone you know who's already doing something similar to what you like to do, looking for you know, just those mentorship opportunities, and that's kind of how I found you know, Mrs. Prigmore. Um, so I would say number one, definitely just finding a mentor in that space, and then finding a network. You know, I've gone to so many networking events lately, trying to find more investors and trying to find, you know, like-minded people. So I would say after you find a mentor, just grab on to new networks and just expand your, you know, your usual, you know, evening events, and just try and reach out and form new networks that you haven't explored, and just, you know, be open to going anywhere, getting on a plane, you know, even networking outside of your normal area. You know, it may cause you to travel to places you hadn't thought of before, and just you know, just expanding your network into more places and people that you hadn't considered previously. I would say those are the 2 steps to get you started.
Awesome. And they're doable,
Right.
especially like you said, with the traveling piece. If you already love to travel,
Mhm.
travel as
Right.
you pursue your dreams.
Yeah.
Don't just go to have fun.
Right.
Too many people are into, I need to relax. But God calls us to a point of getting our hustle on.
Mhm.
It's called work.
Right.
And when we work towards the vision that he has for each of us so that we can become all that he's destined us to be. And it's true. I'm sure you discovered it's us who talk us out of our own dreams, or
Right.
us who talk us out of our own potential. It's one thing what the world says, but history shows that, like Madam C.J. Walker, she was the first Black
Mhm.
millionaire
Right.
just doing hair care products in
Right.
America.
Right.
So it was doable that back then, and so many other inventions in our country. And I'm not just focusing on our race intentionally, I'm just bringing these points out because we're part of a community that has the gun pointed at us, so to speak,
Mhm. 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 Exactly.
in
You
the
have to
days of
become
political climate.
yes, you have to become a megaphone for your own dream, and so that's what I've,
Mm.
been trying to do, and trying to, because I was not very active on social media before, and so just trying to kind of get out of my own comfort zone, to do things. So yes, it is possible, but most of it is on you to get out of your own negative thoughts, get out of your own comfort zone, just kind of get out of your own shell a little bit to bring these concepts and dreams into reality.
And that's the thing about everyone who achieves
Mhm.
anything, they had to get out of their own way.
Right.
Okay. They had to stop thinking, because I find myself, when I catch myself trying to talk myself out of something. Even yesterday, I found myself talking myself out of doing some, it wouldn't have costed me much other than
Mhm.
time,
Right.
and to highlight somebody else.
Right. Right.
And so I said, Lord, what am I doing? Let
Mhm.
me do what let me just do this. And and then I was the last one that got in on the opportunity to
Right.
make
Wow.
somebody else shine.
Right.
And I
Wow.
said, Lord, I want to thank you that
Right.
I'm like, what saying to you, that conversation
I
that goes
know.
on in
I
my head.
know.
And most of us don't even
Right.
recognize,
Right. Yep.
but you have to learn how to recognize when you are in your own way
Exactly.
of
Exactly.
success. It's nobody else. It doesn't matter what your history dictates.
Right.
It only matters what you say about you and how much effort you are willing to put forward to the dream. And that's another thing that I enjoy, because you have so much going on and you're so peaceful about everything. Anybody looking at you, they would be think, they wouldn't assume much because you're
Right.
just
Right.
nice, attractive lady, real quiet.
Thank you.
Okay. But when they get to know you, it's so
Right.
much that we have to unpeel to know
Right.
even of your other investments
Right.
that
Right.
you have going on.
Mhm.
And some of that I'll be getting with you behind the scenes, of course,
Okay.
because I need a new car, babe. So I'm your way.
Okay.
And but she does it all, everybody. Venus Gervin, where can we follow you to
Um,
find out your information? Are you on social media yet?
yes, I'm on link. I would say the best way to find me is on LinkedIn, just under my name, Venus Gervin.
And we'll get all the directions to your website and all of that in case. Everybody, LinkedIn, Venus Gervin,
Thank
go
you.
there, and she'll get you connected with investwithshad.com. We're giving you the names, everybody. Invest so that we can help Venus's dream come to fruition, but you'll be partnering with
Yeah,
the dream, which means there's a return coming your way. You can
exactly.
become a literal real estate investor.
Yes.
But Venus, I want to thank you for being a part of our show on today. A lot of solid information has come out. Not only are we talking about your dream, but how we can participate in it. And it's so exciting to see it come into fruition step by step, but that's a part of that dream and that imagination you talked about earlier, when we can see it coming from nothing into something, the ex nihilo
Exactly.
factor, just like how God created everything out of nothing. He's creating your dream with just a thought.
Yes. Yes.
And then he had the magazine placed
Right. Exactly.
in an unsuspecting place. You're going there to work, and then the magazine kept that burning bush in
Yeah.
your life,
Exactly.
so that you can go on and be the deliverer, if you will, in your community, to say, hey, it doesn't have to be like this always. This is where we're going. So much more, so much information has
Mhm.
come out, everybody. This is one of those shows you have to rewatch
Right.
to extract all of the principles, life principles, business principles that were explained just for you, so that you could get to your next level. Don't let it stop right where you are. Keep it moving.
Nice.
And I want to thank everybody in our WCEG network TV audience, and especially to our faithful Church Biz viewers for tuning in on today's show, and those who will watch after the airing. And like I always say, I want you to take care of you. Take care of your heart, your spirit, your mind, and your physical, because there's only one you. So preserve you. God bless you.